Hey guys, so what I just wanted to do today was just make a real quick video here about the Doctor V64 here. And basically the reason I've got this is because I'm repairing it for a guy on YouTube here called Jimaku Animation. I hope I pronounced that right. But yeah, basically he had this Doctor V64 here, and it wouldn't turn on for a start. But when he did actually get it turned on previously, it didn't have, it didn't come up with a picture on the TV. It just, you know, the CD-ROM just span, and apparently that's a problem that happens with quite a few of these. But what I've managed to do was to make up a new power adapter for it. I just happened to have some that had 12 volts and 5 volts on them, and the ampages sort of matched up pretty much. And it works fine. Also inside, actually, there's like two plugs on the main board underneath. One's for the power switch there, and the other one's for the DVD-ROM drive. So these were basically put in the wrong way around at some point, and so when I put those in the right way around, put it all back together, it works absolutely fine. For those who don't actually know what a Doctor V64 is, it's basically a backup unit for the N64, and it's kind of about as different from any other backup unit as you can get, really. For a start, you have to have the console placed on top of the unit, and it's got a communication port in the bottom, which basically is the same as the cartridge connector on the top. It's just situated, well, it's electronically the same anyway, and it can communicate the same data as the cartridge slot on the top. And I think the only other peripheral that was ever made for this that used the same slot was the 64DD, if you know anything about that. But yeah, this unit's kind of strange. You have to have a cartridge in the top, and for some reason you have to have this little adapter in there. I don't know, I think it shorts a couple of pins out. But basically all it does is it just reads the protection chip that's inside the regular cartridge and uses it for the games that it loads off of CD. Now, in here at the moment there's a DVD-ROM drive, and that's perfectly fine. That will work just fine so long as it's an IDE drive. Just any old PC drive will do, and that will actually now be able to read DVDs as well, which is pretty cool. And there is actually a way to get a compact flash card working with it as well, so you can have, you know, pretty much every N64 ROM just sitting in the unit, just waiting to be played. Now this unit is a 128 megabit version, so it will only play games up to 128 megabit. There was actually a 256 megabit version, but there's not all that many games that went above 128 megabit anyway. At least not too many of the ones that I like myself. I always found it kind of interesting. I've kind of always wanted to get one, but they've always been so expensive to buy. Even now, I mean, I don't know. I think they go for about £120 or around about that sort of area, for this model anyway. For the 128 megabit, I've no idea on the others. I could actually be wrong about that. I'm not entirely sure, but what I'll do now is I'll just plug it in, and well, I've got it plugged in. I'll turn it on and I'll show you how it all works, and yeah, basically just give you a little demo and a little tour of it. The way it's set up is kind of strange. It's this quite different from any other copier that I've ever used. Around the back here, you've got the video out for the copier, which will basically give you your display where you can load the cartridge, load the games off the CD to run them on the Nintendo. But the video from that is separate from the video from the Nintendo itself. Now, around the back, if I can just lift this up because it's heavy. Around the back you've got some inputs over here. My lovely dodgy wiring there. You've got some inputs over here for outputs from the console to this unit, and then basically what it will do is it will mix the video between the video for the unit itself and the N64, but apparently that's pretty ill-advised, and I'm guessing it's probably because it's made by a company called Bung, believe it or not, and they're not exactly known for having sound electronics or even really competent design methods, so as separate as you can keep this from this thing as possible would be the best idea. But anyway, what I'll do is I'll just turn it on here, and you can see the logo, Dr. V64, product of Bung Enterprises, and the little CD drive spinning up at the moment, so it's going to read the disc. But at any point now you can go through the menu and load the games, but what I'll just do is I'll go to like a little test menu here. Bear with me 2 secs. So what I'll do is I'll press this button here, and this will bring up all kinds of options that you can mess around with. You move around with these 2 buttons, and then you press the big play button to select. So if we go to self-test just quick, that's basically just testing all the little bits inside, just making sure everything's running okay. Testing the RAM. So basically what it's done there is it's given an error on DRAM 2 and DRAM 3, but that's because this is a 128 megabit unit and it doesn't have the extra RAM in the other slot, so it's going to come up with that error. But the 128 megabit memory chip that's in there at the moment is represented by DRAM 0 and DRAM 1, and they're fine. Everything else is fine. Also, I believe this played video CDs out of the box as well, which is why it says there it's testing MPEG DRAM, which is okay as well, which I think actually uses the same DRAM as it does for the games. But yeah, it plays video CDs out of the box, which is kind of a neat feature, and I suppose back then it would have been pretty cool to have. Obviously video CDs are well obsolete by now. They never really caught on in the first place, but they were pretty cool. You can also go and do a full test of the RAM, but that takes forever. I've already done that and it all works fine. Now we need to get out of this menu if we can. We want to press the play button, and that will load up the CD-ROM and show us all the games that we got on there. So let's just have a quick look here. This is where it gets a little bit complicated. Well, not complicated, but it's just a strange way of doing it anyway. So if I use my buttons there to select a game, let's go for a good old bit of Mario Kart, why not? It says down the bottom, European version, 96 megabits, Mario Kart 64. Just reads off the ROM header. And by the way, these ROMs, basically they're just normal emulator ROMs. I think the Z.Z64 files might not work on this console, but I think if they're called V.V64 or .N64, I think generally they've come from this anyway, so they should work just fine. I mean, all I've done with these is rename them to .V64 from .N64, but I'm not even sure if that's necessary really. You probably just have the file name like as the game name and that's it. But yeah, so if I load up Mario Kart, press the play button. You can see it's loading it into RAM. Doesn't really take all that long. It's a lot quicker than the old SNES copies were. Then I guess it is coming off CD. I suppose if it was coming off of a compact flash or something like that, it'd be even quicker. Right, so now it's saying you can play a game now. And what you do is, well, if I switch the video channel now to the TV, which is the RF input, which is where the N64 is plugged into, if you now turn on the N64, it pops up with the game that you just loaded. Shouldn't have actually chosen that one because that's the one I've got in the top, but yeah, basically what it does is it will switch off this the V64 until this is now switched off again, then this will then turn back on. Basically it's kind of in a sleep mode at the moment. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. It's a pretty cool little device, and you know, you can get I think, was it Neo Flash are doing some Nintendo 64 copiers at the moment, or you know, copiers that you can use like with a compact flash or whatever. But I think they're quite expensive as well, to be honest, and frankly would probably rather just have this, just for the fact that it's kind of retro looking, and it'll do near enough the same thing anyway. It's probably a bit underpowered with only 128 megabit in it, so there will be some games you can't play, but if you can get hold of a 256 megabit unit, then you're pretty much laughing. I think maybe even Toto Tech did a RAM upgrade for this, so you might be able to just get one that way as well. But anyway guys, that's pretty much all I wanted to do there, is just wanted to show you how this thing works, this strange little beast. Yeah, I'll just pull this off so you can see the whole thing. Pretty weird, huh? Don't see that too often. You've got like a little adapter here so that it can plug into the bottom a little better, apparently. I'm not sure if that's really true, but it seems to work pretty good anyway. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I've got a lot of videos that I'm going to be uploading soon, so I do apologise for not having really uploaded anything substantial for a while, but hopefully I can rectify that pretty soon. So I guess that's all for now, and I'll see you later.